still tackling the high cost of living. Earlier, I spoke to Westbank's Lebogang Gauketsi. He says despite the tough times, the car industry remains afloat. Let's find out if there are other spanners in the works with the National Automobile Dealers Association's Mark Domise. Mark, good morning and thank you very much for your time. I was actually saying a bit earlier in an interview that it's honestly quite interesting that the motor sales industry has been this resilient in such difficult economic times. What do you personally attribute this to?
For the interview today, and welcome and greetings to all the viewers today. It's a really good question, and it's a really interesting phenomenon. I think the first thing we've got to put it down to is we've had quite a prolonged period of low interest rates, especially during the post-COVID period when government took stringent action. And even with the latest round of quite severe increases, we still are at a very relative low interest rate if you take the history of interest rates in the country. So while things are going up a bit, certainly the interest rates are assisting new car purchases.
But then now with the interest rates going up, because many economists are saying we're now on this hike or cycle of a hike, are we likely to see a significant change in the markets insofar as car sales are concerned?
I think there will certainly be pressure on new car sales. However, on the other hand, what we've got to remember, there's a really big influx of very good value vehicles within the sort of hatchback, entry-level, and also subcompact SUV range. So these are vehicles that traditionally would have cost, even 2-3 years ago, 200,000 rand more. So you've got quite relatively well-priced vehicles with lots of safety features, lots of tech in the vehicles, and really fuel efficient. And this is really fueling families buying down into a smaller SUV type car, but with all the luxury and tech that their previous car had from sort of 5 years ago.
So clearly we're not going to see trends as extreme as people actually foregoing a car in the family and saying we're selling it, we're going to use public transport, because there's so much variety now insofar as the entry-level cars, as you say, and those more compact SUVs.
I think there's still a threat of a tough time in the economy going forward. When interest rates go up, and if they go up too close together, it does cause a problem. And I think then people will start certainly sharpening their pencils and maybe having one car and using Uber and other options, or even buying down into cheaper cars. I think debt significantly does play a big portion of that when interest rates go up. So that is a challenge. So I think we're going to have a very fine line with all these cost pressures in fuel prices, interest rates, and inflation hitting us towards the end of the year versus what the new car market is bringing into the country.
And then on your side, insofar as fuel is concerned, are you seeing that the trends indicate that many are taking that into account when purchasing cars right now?
Yes, definitely. I mean, petrol prices are just really, really skyrocketing, and this plays a huge part in car purchases. So when you've got a cycle of, if somebody's buying a new car, knowing that their payment will go up because of interest rates, and knowing that for the short term anyway, we don't really see fuel prices going down, it plays a huge part in the purchase price decision.
So where are we seeing an increase now? We're seeing an increase in the purchase of brand new cars, or the used cars market? Where are we seeing the greatest increase currently?
It's a really good question. Our used car market has been a little bit constrained in terms of supply since COVID. For obvious reasons, there weren't enough used cars coming in from the rental companies or from just the normal new car cycle. And that's still playing a part now in terms of the new car market being slightly constrained. And that's put quite a lot of upward pressure on used car pricing. So if people can find a used car that their value, that they will sit and buy that. But you're always looking at a 2-year-old version of something new that you really can't afford. That's generally how it works. So if somebody could find a good used car, they will be purchasing that, because there have unfortunately been quite severe price increases since COVID, and that has played a bit of a part in the new car price decision.
And then what else should we look out for insofar as purchasing of used cars versus the new?
Well, obviously, you've got to make sure the vehicle is in warranty. That is always a good one. If your vehicle is still under the manufacturer warranty, the manufacturer warranty is the best you can get. These cars still also come with a service plan and or a maintenance plan. I would also recommend these cars to have a full service history with agents. especially if the car is still in warranty, you need to make sure the car has a full service history with the manufacturer brand. And then just the general condition of the car, you've got to always look out for. So as soon as you go a little bit more than 5 years older, get it checked out by a DECRA check or an AA check or something like that.
I was having a little debate about purchasing cars at auctions. I know some people have had a few horror stories, but others, they've been fairly good. What is your take on purchasing cars at auctions nowadays? Because, yes, the option may be there to view the car, whether you view it online or you can come a day or two before the auction actually goes live. But what is your general feel or view of auctions?
My general view on auction is you've got to be extremely careful and know what you're doing. The problem with an auction is that the individual consumer has no recourse under the Consumer Protection Act. So once you buy that car, it's effectively like you're buying it as part of a trade. Something can go wrong a week afterwards and you have zero recourse back to the auctioneer. You rather go buy a car from a franchise dealer or a reputable dealer that has, and then the Consumer Protection Act applies on a used car. And you have at least a 6-month protection on defects that are going wrong, and you also have right of recourse back to the dealer. So I would be very hesitant on an auction car unless you really know your stuff and you know what you're doing.
No, fair enough. Mark, thank you very much for your insights. That's National Automobile Dealers Association Chairperson.